Almost every single movie, TV show, or video game that releases now has something wrong with it. And Batman Caped Crusader was a series people were hyped for months leading up to release. And now that it's launched, we can see that fans are definitely divided on it because it's a cringe fest. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, yes, this is a series that even I was excited for, but unfortunately, I have been watching it and it hasn't been good so far. There are a lot of problems with this, and people are definitely divided on it, giving the user scores or the audience scores on platforms like Rotten Tomatoes. So starting with this Cosmic Book News article, it says Batman Caped Crusader Rotten Tomato scores and critics love it, but the fans are divided. It says the new Batman Caped Crusader animated series is now streaming on Amazon Prime Video with all 10 episodes available, which has the critics and fans divided. I think that they probably knew that this was going to be controversial because Amazon is not known for releasing all of the episodes of a series at once. They do typically launch them week by week, and it seems that they were under the mentality with this that it was probably not going to go over super well, so they just wanted to release all the episodes at once because that means people will not be talking about it for, let's say, because it's 10 episodes for 10 weeks. That's not going to happen now. In 2 or 3 weeks, most people have watched it, they've talked about it, they've left their scores, and then, the social media rush is, gone. It says, though, the Batman Caped Crusader Rotten Tomatoes score is in, and it's currently at a 98% from the critics with 52 reviews, which is basically perfect. I mean, they really love this series, which, hey, if you love this series, that's awesome. I just want people to enjoy things, but I also still have to criticize them because this series has a lot of problems and audiences clearly are not super happy given the score is a 62%. Now, that isn't a terrible score by any means, but it's definitely on the lower side. When you see critics giving something a 98%, which is almost perfect, you expect the audiences to be like, oh yeah, 90 or a 92, not a 62. Now, this of course is supposed to be Golden Age Batman, and it's supposed to be set in the 30s, but it's an extremely diverse version of the 30s, and I talk about this a lot. Diversity and inclusivity are fine things to have in your content if they happen to be, fitting to the time period, to the story, to, the characters that already exist. But that's not what they did here. They decided to race swap a ton of characters, gender swap a ton of characters, sideline important characters, and that's a major, major issue. But because it's set in the 30s, there are certain things that really wouldn't be happening during this time period. I get it, right? It's fiction, but at the same time, they're still trying to portray a semi-realistic or historically accurate world with things like clothing and technology, cars, the setting. So you have to assume that this should follow the way that society was, and the show does not do that whatsoever. You have lesbians going into restaurants and kissing. Of course, you have gender swap villains who no one really opposes. Someone like female Penguin having the power she does. Like the characters tell us Penguin is strong, independent, and intelligent, even though most of her actions, like murdering her own son based on untrustworthy sources, tells us the complete opposite. Oswalda, which by the way, I can't even really say her name with a straight face. They were so freaking lazy. Oswalda is the sex icon of Gotham, even though she looks like male Penguin with lipstick smacked on her and an earring. You've got a rotund Asian Harleen Quinzel, a black Barbara, and Jim Gordon. And I've said this before, race swaps aren't always as bad as gender swaps. If an actor or actress can, accurately depict a character, recreate the essence of that character, and the race of the character is not a central point of their story, then yeah, some of the times race swaps can work, but gender swaps always completely change the essence of a character. Therefore, they can never mimic the likeness of the original. And unfortunately, though, we can see here that they did just do race swaps for the fact of adding more diversity, which, of course, we can criticize. Barbara Gordon, who comes across as a man hater, is a big part of this. And then you have Bruce Wayne, who's forced to undergo therapy for punching some dude in the face, while characters like Selena go free, even though she's a thief. She's not a good person. She is very cute, though, and I will say I do like her character model. And I mean, in my opinion, sidelining Batman for a lot of it in order to prop up other characters really doesn't come across very well. And clearly, a lot of other people agree with me, given it's sitting at a 62% audience score. Now, I was planning to read off some of the audience scores here, but suspiciously enough, as you can see, under the all audience of Batman Caped Crusader Season 1, Rotten Tomatoes is actually not letting you look at audience scores and what the people are saying. They are hiding it. As you can see, you can go to All Critic. The All Critic is perfectly fine, where, by the way, they're giving it a 98%. The Top Critic is perfectly fine as well. But when you go to all audience, it's completely hidden. They are trying to silence users. Now, I can't really say I'm all that surprised given a lot of the shenanigans that have happened on Rotten Tomatoes, and this is why I do not trust this platform to put all of our reviews there, to show the scores properly. There are a lot of instances where there will be thousands of people adding audience scores, but then suspiciously enough, that number in the percentage, it never goes up. And right now, they are actually trying to silence audiences by not allowing audience scores to appear. And clearly, there are audience scores because I've been watching the numbers and they have been trickling down. It actually was originally at a 67% and now it's all the way down. This is very freaking suspicious, and this is why we cannot trust websites like this. Now, taking to social media, though, platforms like X, there are a lot of people who are able to voice their opinions and say, this is not a good series. I had made a thread talking about Oswald Cobblepot, and there are a lot of people saying things like, this is because they don't care about actually creating a good story and honoring said characters. And it's so true, and honestly, it's so sad. It's like a desecration of Batman. And you know, I used to absolutely love the animated series, and having to now watch this, it's just so sad because there is infinitely better Batman content out there where they actually respect the characters and they also respect the viewers. They're not slapping you in the face with narratives because they were simply then creating content that they thought people wanted to watch instead of using the shows and movies and pieces of content as political platforms. I need Penguin to be a man. Yeah, I mean, when you have a established character who has always been an established gender, it just comes off as extremely lazy and disrespectful. You could have put Penguin's daughter in this, right? And then having like some badass iconic father-daughter duo, that would have been cool. But no, instead, they gender swap a character and it's like slapping lipstick on a pig. So yeah, so far things are not going very well for this. And like I always say, if you're enjoying this, I'm glad. I want people to enjoy content, but this is absolute bullshit. The fact that they're gender swapping characters, race swapping characters, flipping their stories around, making men look incompetent, it just isn't a show that I'm going to be impressed with. And I know a lot of people are not going to be impressed with. So it will be interesting to see if suddenly Rotten Tomatoes fixes what they're going to probably call is an issue with the audience reviews popping up for season 1, but they are actively at this point in time hiding them because you can't see any of them on their website. And of course, people are roasting Batman Caped Crusader. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.